This is a picture of my dad and his brother in the early 50s in the Netherlands, in Holland. Well, I'm in the meat business, and that started way back when. I was born and raised in Holland, and my father had a meat business there, and I wanted to follow into his footsteps, I guess. As everything comes in, we stock it by date, by product, and that's how we keep track of the inventory. And today we have basically a wholesale meat company that supplies restaurants, hotels, country clubs, and caterers. We have 85 people working. We're in a 40,000 square foot building, 20 delivery trucks on the road.
Maybe the butcher should be cutting the watermelon. What do you think?
Maybe you need a bigger knife. Well, wasn't really aware that I had an illness. One morning when my kids went to a soccer game, they came home around 11:30 on a Saturday morning, and they were wondering where I was, and they couldn't find me. And as one wanted to use my shower in my bedroom, she saw I was still asleep, but they couldn't wake me up either. I basically was in a glycemic coma, and finally they kind of got me up and got me downstairs and gave me some orange juice to drink, which gave me an instant jolt of the sugar, and that kind of really woke me up. By then my wife was on the phone with my internist, Ken Williams, and he kind of said, well, take him to the hospital. It doesn't sound like Erik, and there's something definitely wrong. And we got to the hospital, and they couldn't find anything because by then it was maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 2:30. I had a whole glass of orange juice to drink. I even ate some eggs, and so the blood sugars were fine at this point, and there was nothing else wrong with me. After that, of course, Ken set me up with Mark Fryman.
When I saw him, obviously this is his, young, vibrant man with an unusual tumor.
What impressed me was that Mark's confidence and his presence, that after talking for him for maybe 5 minutes, he threw it at me, and it wasn't just a guess. What he threw at me was, or what he told me, was exactly what it ended up being.
An insulinoma is a growth or tumor of the pancreas that works independently in producing insulin, which is a hormone that regulates our blood sugar. With a tumor, it works autonomously. It just continually secretes insulin. So your insulin levels will be high, which drive your blood sugar levels low, and that causes you to pass out. It can cause you to have seizures, and that's what was happening with Erik.
He explained to us that the kind of tumor it was most likely not something that's going to kill you.
I do remember telling Erik that good news and bad news. The bad news is that generally when you're told you have a pancreatic tumor, the chances of being operative and the chances of survival are still not great. In his case, though, he had an unusual or rare tumor called an insulinoma, which really only has a malignant or a cancerous rate of only about 10%. So the good news was these type of tumors don't kill you usually, and they're safely operable.
Updated Southern Italian. Yeah. Michael White, Maria, New York. Even though what I was facing was something very big and an operation that is extremely difficult and not without risk, I had a lot of confidence in their team. I had a lot of confidence in myself, but their whole team, their entire department just like almost picked you up. And don't worry about it, we'll get this done. And Mark Fryman said too, hey, listen, this is a big surgery, but you're otherwise a healthy guy. Once I'm done with this, you're good forever, it's gone, and you don't have to worry about anything. And that kind of really, gave me some peace and looked at it a little different than I maybe did the first day.
I assisted Dr. Fryman in his surgery, and he underwent a Whipple, which is removing the head of the pancreas with the tumor.
It's a very intricate operation. It's not performed in the community in many places, and Dr. Mackey and I, myself, are specialized in this procedure. And the fact that Dr. Mackey and I do the operation together also adds an additional level of expertise to the operation.
Lessens anesthesia time, probably decreases the blood transfusion rate.
And in my feeling, the operative times are about half of what they are in other institutions, and it allows for quicker recovery.
The surgery went really well. 3 to 4 hours it was scheduled, but it was a little less than 3 hours. The aftermath in the hospital was really fast. Mark would check up on you every day, and I had 3 hoses in my nose if I believe right, and I was really uncomfortable with it. And and he explained to me each hose, what it was doing, and I said, well, I don't need the oxygen hose anymore. I'm breathing, so he took that out, and then there's a feeding tube, and I said, I don't need that either. Take that out. I'll start eating before you know it. And that made me a lot more comfortable. And he wasn't like, well, you know, standard book it says this and this and that. He easily could have told me, well, no, I can't take these things out. He wanted to make sure I was comfortable, and he knew me by then, and he kind of knew what kind of guy I was, and he wanted to make me feel more comfortable. The care that I got was, I think, the best care you can get. It was the care of making sure that all the paperwork was done, the care of making sure that before you went in that you were comforted to a point where don't worry about anything, you know, the hand of the surgeon on your shoulder, and listen, we got this, and that is all very important. I mean, that kind of really makes you lay down on that stretcher right before they put you to sleep, and there are no worries. You know you're going to wake up. You know you're going to be fine. It couldn't have been any better.
The Liver and Pancreas Center. Hope at the University of Maryland, St. Joseph Medical Center.